what is emotional intelligence. Now, emotional intelligence was the topic we are going to deal with in today. So my first question will be, what are emotions? So what do you understand by emotions?
Feelings.
Very correct. Emotions are feelings. Anyone else?
Our reactions.
Our reactions to feelings. Yeah. Anything else?
Our interpretation to the situation we are facing.
Our interpretation to situations we are facing. Okay. Anything else? So, what is the difference between a living and a non-living entity? Consciousness is what you talked about already. That is soul. What is
Yeah.
another thing that a living and a non-living thing? There's a difference. What we have,
Non-living doesn't have
huh?
emotions. Non-living don't have the emotions.
Yes, yes, yes. So if you see, the difference between a living and a non-living is we have feelings, that was right. We have thoughts and we have desires, right? Apart from consciousness, what happened? These are the things that define a living entity, right? We have desires, we have thoughts, we have feelings. But a non-living entity does not have a desire, thoughts, and feeling, right? Yeah. And the desires and feelings is what makes us alive, right? And the very interesting part is it is our desires and feeling which makes us alive is the cause of our bondage. What makes us alive is the cause of our bondage. So we have to be very, very careful how are we using these feelings and these emotions and these thoughts and desires. If we understand this clearly and start using it in the right way, we can actually move more towards our in the spiritual path. Right? Now, we all know about this us now, that there are three levels of our existence. We all are actually soul, but we have covered by a subtle element, which is mind, intelligence, and false ego, and the last part is body. So we exist in three levels, right? And we have to take care of ourselves in three levels: in body, mind, and soul, right? We all are clear about it. So our real identity is that we are soul embodied in body and mind. Right now, we talked about that emotions are feelings, right? We said that emotions are feelings. Now, what did we read in what is mind? What is mind? We talked about mind is the storehouse of desires and memories. It is the faculty of thoughts and feelings, right? Do you remember? We said mind is the faculty of thought and feelings, and we said emotions are feelings, right? Right? So emotions are feelings, and it is the faculty of thought and feelings, right? And also it's a so can you see desires and feelings are coming is a part of desires are stored in mind, and feelings are emotions again coming from mind. It means emotions and mind are very clearly very well connected, right? Now let's see the next step. We also learned that the body the soul is covered by gross element, which is earth, water, fire, air, and ether. And when we die, this get burnt, right? This is the part that get burnt. And subtle element, which is mind, intelligence, and false ego, that actually travels with the soul. So it travels with the soul, right? One additional thing, that body is also made up of chemicals. If you look at our human body, it is nothing but a set of chemicals, and that is a percentage of chemicals. I just took it out, and what are the chemicals? So it is gross elements and chemicals which get burnt. So let's remember this point, right? Now, what are emotions? It is the body and mind way of signaling how we are feeling. So what are emotions? It is the body and mind, they signal how we are feeling. That is what is emotion. Now, can you name some emotions?
Already. Happiness, sadness, anger, they are already done.
Okay, tell me example where you can actually you can actually show your emotions very very loudly and it is acceptable in the society. Can you give me some examples?
Anger.
Laughter.
Anger. Anger,
Laughter.
if you show in the society, it is not acceptable. But yes, we show anger. That is something very, very commonly we just show, right? But something, think about that. Yes, anger, they're
Laughter.
definitely right. What else?
Laughter, which is
Laughter, yes,
acceptable
we
to the
laugh nicely
society.
and it's very, very acceptable. What else? Think about somewhere
Love
in some
and
event that we
affection.
go, some event we go, we all of us, like, it's a group event, and every we can really show our emotions. Our emotions really come out very, very loudly, and it is really appreciated.
Love and affection and
Yes.
care. Love, affection, and care.
Yes, but what are the events where we can show those emotions very openly, and we all, as a group? Can you state some events?
Like in the marriages or in the some birthday party or some this type of the events when we are
Yes,
close
yes,
family functions or friend function group
yes,
when we are in the group with the friends we are enjoying.
yes, yes. What about sports event? India-Pakistan match. How do we
There
show our
also we have
emotions?
the
Huh? Right? We
by
as a team will
cheering
show,
by cheering up,
by cheering up.
hooting
So
and cheering.
yes, so our emotions really come out loud. Think about some music
Yeah,
festivals where we go, when the kids go, how much they shout, right? So we take out our emotions in
yeah,
these
sure.
events, isn't it? So what happens to the body and mind? Now here, the emotions are connected to body and mind, and that is the way of signaling how we are feeling, right? Now let's go to the next. Why do we get angry? So I'm taking one emotion, which is anger. So why do we get angry?
When we feel we have no control of the situation and we feel helpless or desperate.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We don't have any control. We went out of our anger, right? Any other situation?
uh, when something gets wrong, we want that the situation should move this way but it gets wrong and then we feel anger.
So we want to
Or
control the
sometimes
situation. We want to control the situation as per our wishes, but it doesn't happen as per our wishes.
mhm,
What happens? We get angry.
we are
We want
anger is there.
to control it the way I want, but doesn't happen. So what's happening? I want to control it the way I want, right? And it's not happening as per my wish, so I get angry, right? Right? Agreed? Huh?
Yeah. Or when
Now
some
let's,
task is given to somebody and doesn't do the work, then also we get angry.
yeah, it is all my wish. I want it like that, right? It's me, right? Good. So let us see what Bhagavad Gita talks about. There are two strokes in Bhagavad Gita. Okay, before that, I wanted to bring one more concept. I'm sure you would have seen their basic concepts, and I'm sure Abhijit Prabhu would have told you about it. But still, I want to reinforce that because we'll be using it in our lectures, right? Now, we all are, once we talked about that, when we come in contact with this material world, when we have a body, as soon as we come into this material world, we get influenced by three types of miseries, all of us. And Krishna has defined this world as dukkhale ashashvatam. Krishna in eight point something, I know 15 probably, Krishna has defined this world as dukh ale ashashvatam. Dukh ale means it's a world of miseries, and ashashvatam means it is temporary, right? This is what he has defined. And whenever, as soon as we come in contact with this material world, we get inflicted by three types of miseries. All of us get inflicted by three types of miseries. Now, what? One is called Adhyatmik, next is Adi Bhautik, and Adi Devik. These are the three types of miseries that we get inflicted with. Now, body and mind. What the Adhyatmik? Now, can you tell me Adhyatmik is at what level?
Soul.
Soul level.
No, it
Soul
is
level, adhyatma.
the misery is, this arrow is wrong. This arrow is wrong. Sorry, the arrow should have been from. It is not. It should not be from soul. That's a wrong arrow. Right? I'll correct it. It should be at body and mind. Yeah. So it is not at soul. It is body and mind level. Right. So adhyatmic. The adhyatmic is what happens is, many times we all start thinking of a situation. The situation may not have happened actually till now, but we start imagining, this is going to happen. Some worry, something is worrying us. Maybe in office, now this is what will happen. I will go and that person will say this to me, and then I will react like this. And finally, out of all those mental concoction, we come to a stage where we become very angry in ourselves. It is just happening within our mind, right? In reality, it is not happening. In reality, on the ground, we are not seeing it, but it is all our imagination. That is called mental concoction, right? And that is adhyatmic. It means our mind, because of our thoughts, we think, imagine situation, and in our mind, we create scenes and create pain for ourselves. That is called adhyatmic miseries. Okay? That is called adhyatmic. It means we inflict miseries on ourselves by creating some imaginations or situations in a cases in our mind which causes problem to us. It can go to such an extent that we can even have we can even fall ill. So that is called adhyatmic. Adi bhautik is by society, because we are a part of society. Someone said something to me, I get angry, right? Or some event happened somewhere in the society which inflicted me. So adi bhautik is because of the society. This is me, and because I am a part of society, something which did not happen as per my wish in the society, as Lily Devan madam has mentioned, that actually angered me, right? It's because of others, right? It is because of others. I wanted people to do like that, they did not do like that, so I got angry. So that is called adi bhautik. I get pain, I get angry, or I get pain because others did not do as per me, which is away from me, right? But I wanted to control. That is something called adi bhautik. And adi devik is natural disasters. Flood comes, right? A flood comes or earthquake happens, which is beyond control of anyone. That is because of material nature. That is because of nature. That is called Adidevik. So all of us who are present in this material world are subjected to these three types of miseries, right? It is Adhyatmic, because of ourselves. We imagine situation, that is Adhyatmic. Adi Bhautik is because of the people around us, because of situations around us, we go and have a fall, right? So because of situation around us. And then adi devik is because of the nature, which is like what do you call it, natural disasters, right? So these are the three miseries we get inflicted to. Just let's keep this in mind, right? Now, what does Krishna talks about anger? Krishna says in the second chapter, 62 shlok, Krishna says, ध्यायते विश्यान पुंस संगस्तेषु पजायते संगात संजायते कामः कामाद क्रोध विजायते. ध्यायते विश्यान पुंस. ध्यायते means to keep on thinking, contemplating. ध्यान we know ध्यान, right? ध्यान मतलब उसको सोचते रहना. तो ध्यायते is thinking about something. ध्यायते विषया. विषया is what? Vishya is a sense object. Any object. I want that, right? Any Vishya is a sense object. Any object that we are looking for. I need this mobile phone. iPhone 17 is out, and that is what I need. So let's take that as our object. Now I keep on thinking about it. I want to have it. Then what will happen? Dhyayate Vishyan Punsa. Punsa is people. Sangat Teshu Pujayate. Then what happens? Sangha. Sangha means attachment. Sangha means attachment. Then what will happen when you keep on thinking about an object? Then what will happen? You actually get attached to that object. Upajayate. Upajayate means getting attached, right? Sangha upajayate. It starts having an attachment. Sangat sanjayate kama. And because of that attachment, one has developed to that object. I keep on thinking, then I have a desire or lust to have it. I have a desire or lust to have it. Now, sangat sanjayate kama. Kama is lust or desire. Kamat krodha vijayate. Kamat, and because of that calm, that I need it. If I get it, fine, thank you. But if I don't get it, what will happen? I'll get angry, right? Anything we want, I think all of us would have faced in our life. I want maybe a particular dress, or I want a particular house, or I want a particular car, or I want any item that you can think of. If you want this, you keep on thinking about it. We get attached to it. When we get attached to it, the more we get attached to it, the stronger our attachment to that thing is. We want that, and when we want it, if I get it, fine, but if I don't get it, then what happens? Anger develops, right? So Srila Prabhupada says, while contemplating the object of senses, a person develops attachment for them, and from such attachment, lust develops. And from lust, anger arises. So contemplation creates attachment, creates desire or lust, and which if we don't get it, then anger happens. Then krodhat bhavati sammoha. Krodhat means by krodh, what happened? Bhavati means happens. What happens? Sammoha. Moha means illusion. Moh means illusion. Because of anger, we get illusioned. And sammohat, from sammoha, smriti. Smriti means memory, vibrama. Because of that illusion, imagining that I have it, what will happen if I get it? It's all in the mind. If I get it, what will happen? All those illusions, smriti vibram, my smriti, my memory will get bewildered. And smritir bhamsham buddhi nasho. And when my memory get bewildered, my intelligence get lost. And buddhi nashat prarashyati. And when my intelligence gets lost, what will happen? The soul will fall down. The soul will fall down, right? So from anger, complete delusion arises. From delusion, bewildered of memory. When memory is bewildered, intelligence is lost. And when intelligence is lost, one falls down again in the material pool. Means we'll fall down again in the cycle of birth and death. Clear? So this is the cycle that happens. Anger. Why we get anger? Anger, Krishna says that whenever we want something, either we get it or we don't get it. If we get it, then I'm fine. But maybe it also depends about what cost we have got it, right? So this is what Krishna says about anger. This is how we get angry. Now, how to manage anger? Now, before I talk about how to manage anger, I'm going to take you through some details about emotions. Now, we talked about emotions as a body, and that comes from the body and mind, right? So there are two types of emotions. Emotions are material emotions and spiritual emotions. Emotions are material emotions and spiritual emotions. Now let us see what is the meaning of material emotion. Material emotions are not of soul. We talked about, till now we talked about anger, we talked about happiness, we talked about sadness. All these emotions are actually not of soul. They are not of soul. They are only related to body and mind. They are only related to body and mind. Whatever emotions we feel, they are related to body and mind. So material emotions are not of soul. They are reflections and desires of soul's emotion. So soul's emotions are different, and the emotions that we feel, they are just a reflection of the spiritual emotions. Are you getting me? Are you clear what I'm trying to explain?
Can you explain again?
No, I'm not getting.
So what I'm saying here, I'm saying that emotions, now till now we have been talking about emotions, anger, happiness, right? And then we talked about we feel happy. Then when I gave a definition of emotion, I talked about, I gave this as I said emotion is body and mind way of signaling. I did not say soul. I said body and mind. And I also explained that we are at 3 levels: soul, mind, and body, right? This is a 3 level. Now the emotions that we feel, what are we? We are basically soul, and we are entangled inside the body and mind, right? Our actual real position is we are soul, and we are in this material world. Where are we? We are not in the spiritual world. We are here in this dukhalaya shashwata. We are in the material world. Are you all with me till now? Yeah. So when we are in material world, the emotions that we are feeling, the whatever emotions we feel, happiness, sadness, anger, envy, fear, compassion, whatever emotions we are feeling is only between body and mind. It is only at a level of body and mind. Okay? Okay, you're getting it? Now I'll take you slowly so that we can understand this. Then I explained that there are two types of emotions. Material emotions. Material emotions are at a material level. Material level means it is body and mind, the first two level. And spiritual emotions also there, which I'll take later. Now let me take you to the next step. I said material emotions are not the real emotions of soul. They are not the real emotion of soul. I'll help you to, let's take 3-4 slides, then we'll come back. They are not the actual emotions of soul. They are just a reflection and desire of soul's emotion. So in Bhagavad Gita, it is said that desire actually comes from soul. And the body that we have is because of our desire. Because we desired something which did not get completed in this life, and also because of the karma that I had built up. So what happened? Because of my desire, that unfulfilled desire, and because of my karma, I took birth again in this material world. Why? To fulfill my desire and to repay my karma, whatever the positive or negative it was. Right? Are we clear? Are we on the same page now? Right? So what is happening is that the emotions that we are enjoying now or facing now are the reflections and desire of soul's emotion. Keep this in your mind. We will take few steps and then I'll come back. Now, what really happens when I'm saying it is a body and mind level? Now I'm explaining to you how actually it happens at a body and mind level. Okay? I am now explaining to you how what I mean by body and mind level, how it actually happens. Now let us think about let's think about an incident. There is a terrorist attack at a public place, right? We all are there in that public place, and there's a terrorist attack. What will happen? What actually happens in our body? What is the psychological behavior, physiological behavior that goes in our body? That's what I want to explain now. We are in a public place and there's a terrorist attack. What will happen? Immediately, our brain will release chemicals in our body, in our bloodstream. Okay, immediately as soon as the incident we are having in that place, our brain will immediately release chemicals in the bloodstream. It will be adrenaline, or we will have cortisol will be there, right? And that actually triggers our sympathetic nervous system. So inside us we have a nervous system called sympathetic nervous system that gets activated, and that gets activated only in case of crisis. There's a crisis, or what will happen? There's a sympathetic nervous system will get activated. What will this nervous system will do? It will actually, because there's a very urgent situation for us to act, our body will know, because of this adrenaline, the chemical that has been released in our bloodstream, our body will know that we have to act suddenly. And that at that point of time, the blood will, our this system, the sympathetic nervous system, what it does is all our other systems which is there in our body, like the immune system, the digestive system, everything gets blocked. It gets stopped, and the blood actually focuses on our limbs and other side so that we can take an action. It is called fight or flight mode. So the body prepares us to be in either to face the situation, either we will be fighting to the situation or we'll run away from the situation. This is what our body is. This is how the psychologically or physiologically our body reacts. Okay, so this is at a bodily level. Are you with me? Are you with me? So this is happening at a bodily level. Now, when all these things are happening, our mind at this point of time, so you see this yellow line, during all these things time, our mind has interpreted all these things as an emotion, and that emotion is the emotion of fear. Got it? So mind has given it a name called emotion of fear. So this is you got it? So how it is, so basically the feeling is at what level? It is the body is experiencing through the blood, and all this feeling that is happening, the mind has given it a name. We have given it a name as fear, which is a feeling which the mind feels. We are clear? Got it? Huh? So basically what I'm saying is that emotions that we talk about, so the body and mind is at a material level. It is not at a spiritual level. Soul is at spiritual level, right? Soul is at a spiritual level, but body and mind is at a material level, right? So that is why we say that the feelings, these are material feelings, right? So I move forward.
So basically, everything comes from what is, I mean, soul's emotions. Am I right? I mean,
Soul, yes, we will not talk about soul now. I'll later tell you
okay.
about God. I will just explain to you the emotions that I said. I told you that emotions are of two types: material emotions and spiritual emotions, right? And then I'm explaining to you what is material emotion. Material emotion means it will be at a material level. Material level means body and mind. It will be only at that level. And then I explain to you now how an incident happens, what is happening at the bodily level, and how mind interprets that whole thing as a emotion, as a feeling. So mind is telling me that it's a feeling of fear. It's a feeling, right? So at a mind level becomes a fear, and we are feeling our emotion is fearful. We are fearful, right? But all these thing has happened. The first part is happening at a bodily level. This is an example of material emotions, right? This is because it is only related to material plane. Material plane means body and mind. Soul is actually spiritual. Now I will slowly relate to it. So I want you to go one step at a time,
Okay.
right? Yeah. So now till now I have just explained about the material emotions, right? Now what happens? Now I'm saying what is the relation between these emotions, material emotion, soul. Now the soul, what is soul doing? Soul identifies itself with the biochemical emotions. What is soul doing? Soul says that this feeling is my feeling. Soul is I. Because if you look at me, I say I am Sushmita. Right? I say I am Sushmita. But what am I? My actual identity is I am a soul. But what I'm doing, as soon as I say Sushmita, I'm identifying myself with this body. Agreed? Agreed? You are agreeing with me? As soon as I say I am Sushmita, then my soul is identifying myself with this body. Similarly, the fear I had, I am fearful, right? I was at the place where terrorist attack happened, and I became fearful. So the soul, what did my soul do? I identified with that emotion, saying that Sushmita was fearful. You are agreeing to me? So Sushmita became fearful. So what did I do? Actually, that emotion was at a body and mind level, but Sushmita attached herself to that body and mind and said Sushmita is fearful. So soul identified itself with the biochemical reactions, because soul is identifying itself with this body, right? Right? And why soul is identifying itself with this body? Because, so now let's go back to our original class, the first class that I took. I asked all of you, I explained to you, why do we take birth in this material world? Again, because I am a pure soul. Who am I? I am a soul. Mamai vancho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. I am a part and parcel of Krishna. Right? Who am I? I am a soul, and in my pure situation, I am a part and parcel of Krishna. What is my actual job? My actual job is to be with Krishna in Golok Vrindavan, the spiritual world, and be there. But what I wanted, I was not liking it. I wanted to become master. I wanted to become master, and I left Krishna and I said, I want to go away and I want to enjoy. I want to become master of myself and I want to enjoy. So what did Krishna do? Krishna created a material world and sent me there and said, okay, you want to enjoy away from me, you go there. Now, and then when he gave, that's how I got this body. Now, as soon as I came to this material world has got three modes of material nature, which is goodness, passion, and ignorance. It is there. This Maya Jal that we are in, it has got ignorance, passion, and goodness. And because of my karmas or whatever I would have done, I have a percentage of goodness, percentage of passion, and percentage of ignorance. And because of that, my behavior is what my behavior is today. Right? That is how my behavior develops. And that is why I'm here. Right? If I would have been a pure soul out of this, I would have been in Golok Vrindavan with Krishna. So now Why did I identify all these emotions with myself? Because I wanted to be fearful. I want to be happy. So I'm here and I say Sushmita is happy. I want to enjoy that feeling, right? So I say I am happy, but actually that happiness is a chemical reaction of my body and a feeling called happiness by my mind. And Sushmita identifies herself with body and mind, so say Sushmita is happy or Sushmita is sad. But pure soul is not like that. Okay, are you with me? Are you all with me? Are you getting me? So what is the relation between all these things? Soul identifies because I wanted to be away from Krishna. I wanted to have fun here. I wanted to enjoy. I wanted to be a master here. I wanted to enjoy fear. I wanted to enjoy happiness. I wanted to feel sadness. So I've come here. It is just like all of us who are grown up would have experienced when our child grows up, or when you're a teenager and you want to be away from your parents. You want to live your own life. All of us wanted to be away from our parents and live our own life and be the master of our own thing. Yeah. And when parents say something, say, okay, they keep on telling, now come on, we know what is right. Don't tell me, don't preach me. I think all of us would have done it, right? It's the same thing. We said same thing to Krishna, and it's a statement. It's a slok in Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says, "I am Aham Bij Pradam Prida. I am the father of all living entity." In all the 14 log, if there is anything living, whether it is a plant, tree, animal, reptiles, anything, he is the seed giving father. But then we never accepted him. We said, no, I want to run away. I want to have my own family. I want to have my own society. I want to have my own thing. Yeah, just like so. You can also equate it to those who are mothers. When the kids are growing up, what do? When we are cooking and they come and say, I want to cook, we know that they can't cook. What do? We give them a pseudo playful utensil and kit and give it to them and say, okay, you cook, right? And give them some atta and say, okay, now you make roti, right? But no one will eat it, and happily they are making it. So what we are doing, similarly, Krishna made this material world for all of us so that we can go and have fun here and do whatever we want, right? And now today, why all of us are listening Bhagavad Gita? Because now we have some realization and we are searching, why am I here? And that is what is attracting us to find out, to know Gita, what Gita tells us. Because Gita there's a slok in Bhagavad Gita which says, Raj Vidya Raj Goyam. This Gita is basically the king of knowledge. Why it is the king of knowledge? Because the knowledge which Bhagavad Gita has is not taught in any universities in the world. You cannot get this knowledge in any universities in the world. Whatever we get only to have a material pleasure, right? Whatever the knowledge we get is only to get some material pleasure, to earn more money, to get more pleasure. We get more money, buy more pleasure, and we be more happy. But what happens? The more we are doing, we are making ourselves entangled to this material world. But Gita teaches us how to come out of this cycle of birth and death, how to come out of this, how to get moksha, how to get liberation. That is what teaches Bhagavad Gita teaches us, right? So now, why the soul identified with all those emotions? Because that soul wanted to enjoy that emotions. Why we came to this world, to enjoy those things, happiness, to be the master. And that is why I am identifying. Actually, it is not mine. That's why I'll take you to one chapter today, which is something, unless we go through that, it is very difficult to understand later part. So that is the goal of my lecture today. Now, the next point here is, just a minute, I can't see the, yeah. So the next topic is, why does, okay, soul, that is we, wants to enjoy without Krishna. So why we are here? We wanted to enjoy without Krishna, which is not possible. And soul identifies with the body and mind and emotions and considers them as their own. And because I don't know that who am I know I'm Sushmita, and I don't know that there's a soul behind me. Actually, I'm a soul. Because I don't have this knowledge, I enjoy and I say all this feeling is my feeling. Understood? So this is what the things are. This is what is material emotions, right? Now, again, I've already talked about this in the first chapter. Who am I? I am soul, and body is different than soul, which is the fundamental identity. Then What is my real identity? I am a spiritual being. I am not a material being. Material is body. Body is made up of earth, water, air, ether. Yeah, so all those 5 elements, that is material, and that is what body is made up of. But we are soul is spiritual being, and I'm a part and parcel of Krishna. Mama Ivansho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. Sanatana means eternal. Eternally, I'm a part and parcel of Krishna. But so now that is what I talked about material emotions. Now I'm talking about spiritual emotions. So whatever emotions we see in material world, the pure form exists in spiritual world. So whatever we are seeing in this material world, the actual form exists in spiritual world. And this material world is actually a reflection of the spiritual world. Spiritual world is a real world where all of us actually belong. But we all wanted to be away from spiritual world, so we have come to this material world. The real emotions exist in, the real form of emotion exists in spiritual world. Whatever we are experiencing here is a reflection of that real on to the material world. And when it is reflected, it is not reflected in the same way. It becomes opposite. Now we'll go into detail of that. So let's understand the spiritual emotions. Whatever emotions we see in this material world, the pure form exists in spiritual world. For example, anger. Now anger, we face anger here, yeah, but the real actually is compassion. Compassion is a higher one. Greed, satisfaction is the actual emotion which is in the spiritual world. We say lust, what we call love here is lust, and what is the actual love is there in the spiritual world. Now let me see how much time I have. 7:30. Okay, so now when we talk about love, I definitely wanted to tell this story. And now the thing is, the actual love, and I'm now talking about the spiritual world, right? Actually, when we talk about love, the highest love. So now this is lust and love, right? Similarly, so I leave this here, that the real emotions exist in the spiritual world, and then I move to the emotional intelligence and relationships. So what is emotional intelligence? Emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize, understand, manage, and use emotions effectively in oneself and others. I say I am emotionally, what is my emotional quotient? I am sure that, we all would have been exposed to a triangle. We say at the base level, it's a physical quotient. What is my PQ? What is my PQ level? I'm sure we would have used the word IQ. This is my IQ, or this is the IQ that we are talking about. So there is a triangle actually. We talk about physical quotient. We talk about emotion. We could talk about intelligence quotient. Higher than that is emotional quotient, and the highest is spiritual quotient. So these are the 4 quotients that we have. All of us have. Physical quotient is a lower level, and then is emotional. Now, when we say emotional intelligence, it means how well can I manage my emotions? At the same time, how intelligent I am, how good I am to understand the emotion of others. It means putting myself in others' shoes and understanding their emotions and then taking a judgment from that perspective. Normally, what we do when I'm taking a decision, it will be what is good for me, right? Our decisions are based on what is good for me, or what is. But if I'm very much emotionally intelligent, then my decision in any situation, I will put myself in the other person's shoes and see how that person would have been felt about it, and accordingly I will take my decision. That is emotional intelligence. Okay, so here it says it's not only about recognizing my emotions, which is about oneself, but also thinking about the other person's emotions and then taking a decisions and or living accordingly. I don't like it, but then other person likes it, so let me adjust to the other person, right? So now this is emotional intelligence, and I'll take this later in the next class. I just wanted to in this class wanted to talk about the terms, and then wanted to take you through some very important concepts which will help us to understand this whole unit, right? So after this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of us through chapter 15, few strokes of chapter 15, right? This will help us to understand the talks that I have done till now, and will also help me to explain the other part of this thing. Now, chapter 15 is a very, very important chapter in Bhagavad Gita. It says from material world to spiritual world. It is from material world to spiritual world, how we can move, what it is. So it's the stroke number 15.1 to 6 talks about it. So let's read this. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Urdhavam Moolamadav Shakham Ashwatham Prahur Avyayam Chandasi Yasya Parnani Yastam Veda Sa Vedavit. So Krishna explains here that Urdhavam Moolam Adha Shakha. Urdhavam means he's talking about a tree. He's talking about a tree of the sansar tree or tree of illusion, right? Which is this material world. He's talking about the material world, right? He says that Urdhavam means up. Moolam means root. Moolam means root. Adha means down. Shakha means branches. There's a tree, which is the tree of illusion, in which we all are. There's a tree which has Urdhavam, up. The roots are up. And Adha, downwards is the Shakha. The branches are downwards. And that tree is of Ashwatham. Ashwatham means banyan. It is a banyan tree, which is a very, very big tree. Very, very big tree. Prahur Avyayam. It is Avyayam. Avyayam means is eternal. Chandasi Yasya Parnani. Parnani means the leaves. And Chand means Vedas. Chand is Vedas. Chandasi Yasya Parnani. Yasya means that. Whose leaves are Vedas. Yes, Yastam Vedasa Vedat. And those who can understand this tree of illusion, Ved means also knowledge, know. So Ved is the word which means know. And those who Ved, Sa Vedavit, those who know, understand about this tree of illusion are said to be the knower of Vedas. Vedavidya, Vedvid. Understood? So the first sloka of 15th chapter says, as per the translation by Srila Prabhupada, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has roots upward and its branches down, and whose leaves are in the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. Have any of you seen a tree with roots up and inverted tree with roots up and branches down?
Bargad tree.
हाँ, बरगद का पेड़ जो है वो तो रूट अप होता है. नहीं, बरगद का पेड़ है, बट कोई ऐसा पेड़ है जहाँ रूट अप होता है. Have you ever seen a tree whose roots are facing cloud and the branches are down towards earth? Roots are facing cloud. Okay, yes. In general, in reality, we will not see this tree. But imagine when you are standing in front of a pond or a river, and if there are trees there, how will you see the reflection of the tree in the water? If you are seeing a tree, the reflection of the tree in the water will look like what? Will it look inverted?
That's upside.
Do you
Upside
agree?
down.
Do you agree? It is
Yeah.
only a reflection,
Yes.
right? So this banyan tree is the reflection of the tree which is in the spiritual world. Understood? Krishna is talking. So when do we see a inverted tree? We only see as a reflection in water. And then in the water we will see the branches are downwards, and actually on the land it is up. But in the reflection we'll see everything ulta. It is downward, right? Right? And also, what do you call it? Yes. So, and just like, the reflection, the land and water is here this reflection is based on desire. The reflection medium is desire. So the spiritual tree is up. Based on the desire, on the desire platform, this tree gets reflected. And that is tree, this Urdhavam is the tree of illusion, which is the tree of sansar, in which we all are. So Krishna explains that this is the tree where you all are, which is not the real tree. It is just a reflection of the actual tree, which is the spiritual world. And Krishna explains in the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, he explains that when we wanted to come away from Krishna, when we were fighting and say, no, we want to be our master, we want to go away and enjoy, then at that time, he being a responsible father, he did not just let us go. What he did was, he created a world for us. Although it is temporary, he created a world for us, and he also did one thing. He also sent Vedas along with that. He also sent Vedas along with that. And he said that, okay, whenever you get time, whenever you want, look at that. And that will help you to come back to me. So he sent us, he created this material world. He also sent Vedas. He also sent us scriptures and said, okay, look at that. Whenever you want me back, there's a way you can come back to me. Understood? And here's Chandasi Yasya Parnani. The leaves of that tree are nothing but the hymns of Vedas. Understood? And that is the tree. This is the illusion tree that in which we are. Now let's go to the next sloka. Adhaschordhavam pasitastasya shakha guna pravidha vishay pravala adhascha mulan anusantatani karmanubandhani manushya loke. Adhascha urdhava. Adha means down. Adha means down. Urdhava means up. Adhascha urdhava prasita. Prasita means extended. It is the branches of that tree is extended. How are they extended? Tasya shaka. Tasya means of that. Shaka means branches. Shaka means branches. So it is extended. Where is it extended? Adha means down as well as up. So the tree is so huge. It is such a huge tree with roots up, and the branches are down also, and it goes up also. Somewhere it is going up also. And then Guna. Guna means the three modes of material nature. The three modes of material nature, which is ignorance, passion, and goodness. These gunas, pravidha. Pravidha means they are actually taking care of this tree of illusion, which is the material, the tree. Vishaya pravala. Vishaya means the senses. Pravala. So this tree, the reflection, the illusion tree is getting watered by the gunas. The gunas is the ignorance, the passion, and the goodness, and also by the senses, right? Adhascha mulan anusantatani karmanubandhani manushya loke. And then pravala means the twigs. At the end of the branches, there are twigs. And the end of that, there are the twigs, and then there is senses. So in the branches are ending with twigs and senses, which are, what are they doing? Adhascha mulani anusantatani karmanu bandhani manushya loke. And adhascha means again niche, downward. Mulan means branches. Anusantana, some of the branches are going down. So we see Bargad ka ped, we see that the secondary roots are going down again and goes into the thing. So some of the roots are going down, which is the secondary roots. And those roots, what is happening? Karmanu bandhani. Because of our karmas, the work that we do and the results that we obtain from that is causing it to get bound in this manushya loke, in this material world. The activities we are doing, it is binding us there. So the translation goes like this: the branches of this tree extend downward and upward, nourished by the three modes of material nature. The twigs are the objects of senses. This tree also has roots going down, and these are bound to the fruitive action of human society. Clear? Are you able to visualize that tree? Yeah. So the actual tree is a spiritual tree, which is the spiritual world. The reflection tree is the tree of illusion, which is this material world. And this is how it is. The the top branches are the higher planets. We know that, in this, there are 14 planets are there, right? We are on Earth. We are on Earth, which is the middle one. Above us, there are 7, and below is down. The higher planets, we call it what do you call it? Bhur, Bhuva, Swa. Right? There are 7 up, lok up, and then down is hellish planets, right? It goes down. Atal, Sutal, Sutal. There are 7 names there, and down is hell. So all these 14 planets that we have, whatever living entities are there, so the higher branches, the Rishi, Muni, they all are there. And below the branches, all lower species are there. The insects and animals are there, right? So this is how this tree is. And then Krishna says, third shlok, न रूपम अस्येह तथोप न रूपम अस्येह तथोपलब्धे न अंतो न चादिनम च संप्रतिष्ठ अश्वत्थमेन सुविरूढ़ मूलम असंग शस्त्रेण दृढ़ेन छित्वा. Krishna says that this tree, na rupam, the rupamasya eha means this, rupa means form, tathopa labhate, the real form of labhate means to get. No one can see the real form of this tree. It is such a big tree that we cannot see the real form. And na anto, there is no end of this tree. Na cha adi, neither there is a beginning of this tree. Cha sampatishtha, and it is held with the foundation is very, very strong. Ashwathamena. Ashwathamena is the Ashwatham, the banyan tree. So Viruna Mula. Mula means what we have to do? Asanga Shastren Chitva. If we want to free ourselves from this tree of illusion, so what we are doing, just like monkey, we are actually each life, we are flocking from one branch to another branch. We are actually taking birth again and again based on activity. Either we are going down in the branches, either we are falling down, or if we are doing good deeds, we are going up. So our life, the millions of life, we are moving from one branch to another branch. And that is how we are living our life. So Krishna says, if you want to come out of this illusion tree, what we need to do? Asanga Shastren Drihena Chitva. What do you have to do? Asanga Shastren means it is basically Drihen means determination. And Asang Shastren, Asang matlab detachment. Asang means detachment. Shastren, Shastra means weapon. By the weapon of detachment, with determination. Chitva means cut it. So we have to cut till we are too much attached and with the material world and the senses and the pleasures of the material world, we are going to be moving from one branch to another. And that is how our life will continue to be. But if we want to free ourselves from this material world, this tree of illusion, then what we have to do? We have to cut the trunk of this tree with determination by detachment. Yeah, detachment from what? From the material pleasures. From the material pleasure. Now, when we detach ourselves, we can't be hanging. If you have seen bullock cart, if you remember. So there are two bulls, and there is a plank which is kept on that, which is bound. Now, if you remove it from there and you remove the bullocks from there, you just can't keep it hanging. You have to put it somewhere else, right? So if you just keep it, if you just detach yourself from that, imagining there, if you don't connect it to something else, you can't keep it hanging. So if you're detaching it from there, you have to connect it to Krishna. If you connect it to Krishna, then what will happen? You will actually start moving towards the spiritual world from the material world. So this first to sixth slok is how to move from material world to spiritual world. So now till here it talked about that we have to cut it. By detachment we have to cut the tree from there, and then what we need to do is in the fourth slok. After that, padam tat parimargitvam yasmin gata na nivartanti bhuya tameva chadyam purusham prapadye yatah pravritti prasita purani. Then what we have to do? Thereafter, one must seek that place. One must seek that place from which, having gone, one never returns. You have to reach that place where you have to come out of the cycle of birth and death. Having gone, one never returns. And there, surrender to that Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whom everything began and from whom everything has extended since time immemorial. So, after detaching, you have to connect it to the place which is Krishna, from where everything starts and everything ends. Go back to Bhagavad Gita. What did Arjun do? Arjun was confused. He was in the material, all emotions, everything was material. He was getting attached to his family, thinking how will he find, forgetting his real cause, forgetting his dharma. And then what did Krishna? Krishna guided him. What when Krishna? And then he surrendered. What did he do? He surrendered to Krishna. So once we surrender, then what will happen? We will be taken care to move to the right path. Understood? So Krishna says, then you have to, after doing that, you have to surrender. You have to detach and then surrender. And when you surrender, then to whom? To the Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whom everything emanates. Understood? This is the fourth slok. And this is something which is the fourth chapter. Krishna says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante ma buddha bhava samanvita. It means Aham, I. Sarvasya means everything, prabhavo. Everything emanates from me, whether it's a material world or it's a spiritual world. Everything comes from me. Matta sarvam pravartate. Everything is, again, matta sarvam pravartate. Whether it's material or spiritual, everything comes out from me. Iti matva. Those who knows that. Matva means those who know about, they bhajante mam. What do? They do devotional service to me. They are Buddha. They are wise. Bhava samanvita. With all bhav, they do that. So, I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. The wise who perfectly know this engage in my devotional service and worship me with all their hearts. Right? Then in the 7th chapter, 19th slok, Krishna says, Bahunam janmanam ante jnanvan mam prabhadyante vasudeva sarvamiti sa mahatma sudurlabha. It means Bahunam means after many births. Janma means birth. Janmanam ante, janma and an. So after many, at the end of many births, what happens? Gyan. Those people who have knowledge, those people who are in the marga, who are in the path of Gyan Yog, Gyanvan, Mam Prapadyate. Mam means to me, to Krishna. Prapadyate means surrender. So after many births, what happens? Those who are in the Gyan Yog, what they do? They prapadyate, Mam Prapadyate. They actually surrender to me. And what after surrendering to me, what do? Vasudeva Sarvamiti. What do they understand? Vasudevam Sarvamiti. Vasudev is everything. Krishna is everything. And that Mahatma, such great why people are Durlabha. Durlabha means they are very few. They are very few who understands that I am everything. And when they understand that I am everything, they actually surrender me completely. Surrender to me completely. And then Krishna explains how to surrender. This is in the 4th chapter, 34th slok. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya updeshyanti te jnanam jnaninam tattvadarshanam. He says, you need to have a spiritual master who understands this. Gita is not something which we can understand. If for subjects like maths and science we need teachers, then imagine Bhagavad Gita, which is spoken by Krishna himself, which is so much philosophical. How can we understand it by our senses? We cannot. We need a spiritual master who is self-realized, who has realized it. And when that person has realized it, what will happen? You have to tadvidhi pranipatena. You have to surrender to that person, and you have to, with very humbly, ask him, request him to explain, to give the knowledge. Why? Because if you will do that, then you have to do sevaya. You have to give service to him. Then updesh. Updesh means they will instruct you. What? Te jnanam. They will tell you the jnana. Why? Because jnaninam tattvadarshanam. They have realized the truth. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, inquire from him submissively, humbly, and render service to him and do his seva. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. Because they have seen the truth. So that is the way we can, when we surrender, then we can get the knowledge to how to come out of the cycle of birth and death. right? Now we come back again to the 15th chapter, 5th slok. Then Krishna says, 6th slok, na tad bhasite suryo na shanko na pavaka yat gatva na nivartante tad dhamam paramama. No, now he's talking about the spiritual world. He says that spiritual world, na tad bhasite surya. You don't need surya. There's no sun there. Na shanko, neither there's moon. Na pavaka, neither there's any fire. Yat gatva, when you go there, na nivartante, you will not come back again. Tad dhamam, that dham is paramam mama. That is the supreme dham of mine. In that dham, when you reach, you don't come back, right? And so this is what I want to tell. And then I always take this slok, which is from this chapter, 15 chapter 7 slok. Krishna says, Mamai Vansho Jiva Loke Jiv Puta Sanatana. He says, who am I? Mamai Vansho. We all are the Ansh. We are the particle. Ansh of who? Jiva Loke. All the 14 planets I talked about. In all those 14 planets, whatever Jiv is there, living, moving or non-moving, Jiv Bhuta, all the living entities, Sanatana, eternally, they are part and parcel of mind. And what are they doing? What is happening to them? Mana, because of their mind. Kashta Indrani, and their senses, their eyes, nose, ears, touch, tongue. Because of their senses, which is managed by the mind, what happened? Prakriti sthani karishyati. They are struggling. Karishyati means they are struggling. All of them are struggling because of the Prakriti, because of the three modes of material nature. We are in this material mode and everything around us is the material nature. Because there's so much sense pleasure and we get involved in our sense pleasure because of our senses and our mind not being under our control. So we are struggling, although we are part and parcel of him. Clear? Yeah. Then this slok, this is how this part is basically transmigration of living entity. How we talked about soul, how our soul moves from one body to another. Yeah, how our soul moves from one body to another. So we talked about that, when we die, the outer body, which is made up of all the 5 elements, earth, water, air, fire, and ether, they get burned. The chemicals which is there in our body, biochemicals, they get burnt. What is left? Our soul, mind, and false ego, and our soul. So these 3 things which has got the memories of all our memories. Mind is the storehouse of memories, right? And desires. That is storing all the desires of the soul, and they encompass the soul and they go. So how does it go? Now Krishna explains that from 7th to 11th. We'll go till 15th and then I'll stop. That is how we'll end today's class. So that, once you know the concept, when the next class, when I'll talk about other things, then we'll be using these knowledge that I've shared today to explain things why I'm saying so, right? So this is more to know what is happening in what Krishna has explained in Bhagavad Gita, which is help us to understand emotions and emotional intelligence and other relationships and other things, right? So now how does actually the living entity move from one body to another body? So Krishna, so this I explained, Mamai Vansho Jiva Loke Jiva Puta Sanatana. Then in the 8th slok, Krishna explains, Shariram yad avapnoti yad chapyot kramatishwarah grihitvetani sanyati vayur gandhani vashyat. Krishna says that the Ishwar, Kramati Ishwara means the soul of this body, which is basically the master of this body, which is the soul. What it does, just like it changes sharir, it changes the body, it changes one body to another. Just like, how does it change? Vayur gandha nivashrayat. Vayu means the wind. Yeah. Now think about what happens if think about a flower bed. There's a huge bed of with lots of beautiful flowers, all roses or some very scented flowers. What does the air do? When the wind is passing through that, when the wind passes through that, all the flowers, it takes the smell, it takes the gandh of that flowers, right? But it leaves behind the flowers. It doesn't take the flowers along with it. Just it takes the smell and it moves forward. And when it moves forward. That's what happens, right? Huh? Or if there is something stink thing, the air will take the stink but leave the dead body there and move forward and it spreads, isn't it? Similarly, it is in the same way what happens when we die. When we die, the soul takes the mind intelligence that is subtle, which we can't see. The mind intelligence, false ego, along with it, and leaves behind the body. And leaves behind the body. Understood? That is what is explained in this shlok. The living entity in the material world carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another, as the air carries aromas. Thus, he takes one kind of body and again quits to take another. This is how the soul keeps on moving from one body to another body. Understood? Then we go to the 9th shlok. Shotram chakshu sparshnam cha rasnam ghanameva cha adhishtaya manaschayam vishyanupasevate. Now, very important. It carries, but what is happening? Whatever karma we are doing in this life, whatever desires we have in this life, it is getting stored in the mind. It is getting stored in the mind. Now say, I want to sleep a lot. I love to sleep a lot, right? Or say, I like to eat a lot of, forget it. I want to sleep a lot. So who sleeps a lot? 6 months? Bear, right? Bear sleeps. So what will happen? Next life, what will happen? We'll get a life of bear, because this is what I've been doing in this life. Whatever you do in this life, whatever your desires are, that is it is kept in your mind, and it is taking it and it is taking to the next body. Those impressions are carried. So whatever we are doing, we have to be very careful, because that's how our next life is going to be. And not only that, see what happens? Shotram. Now, based on that, whatever I like to eat a lot of, say, non-veg. Then we don't need a body of human. Next time I'll be such an animal who can actually enjoy a lot of things. It is our choice. We call it. We ask for it. Whatever we are getting tomorrow. It is not because of anything else. It is our desire. Whatever we are suffering in this life is because of us. Because this is what we wanted. This is what we have learned. We always blame others. But it is all because of us. Our karma, our way, what we have thought. And that's what comes back to us. Right? So what happens? Because I want to do that, accordingly, Shotram. Accordingly, I'll get my ear. Chakshu, I'll get my eyes. Sparshnam, I'll get my skin. Rasnam, I'll get my tongue. Ghanameva, I'm smelling. So that is the type of body I will get. All my body parts will be defined in the next life based on how I had been behaving, liking, desiring in this life. Right? Adhishtaya manascheva. Adhishtaya means controlled by mana, mind. Then what? Vishya. What was the sense things that we wanted? And that is how our next life happens. So the living entity, thus taking another gross body, obtains a certain type of ear, eye, tongue, nose, and sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind. He thus enjoys a particular type of set of sense objects. So whatever I wanted, next life we will get like that. Krishna will give us that body, because that was our desire was. Whatever we eat, whatever we see, whatever we think, whatever our desires are, accordingly we get a next body. Okay? Utkamantam sthitam vapi bhunjanam va gunanvitam vimudha nanu pashyanti jnana chakshusha. Vimudha is foolish. Na anupashyanti. They cannot understand this. Pashyanti jnana chakshusha. But those who have knowledge, chakshu is eyes, those who have the knowledge of they have spent this time, they can see and they can understand all these things. The foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of the modes of nature. Right? But so that's why you remember when I talked about mind and we talked about tools, we talked about mode of goodness, and we talked about in the mode of goodness, and then we talked about the sheet, what falls under the goodness, what falls under passion, what falls under ignorance. Krishna has talked about 2.5 chapters about this, because this knowledge is a very, very important knowledge. Unless we have a knowledge, we will not follow it. So first thing is having the knowledge. So Krishna has talked about this 14th chapter, 17th chapter, 18th chapter half, not half, but a major part of 18th chapter, he has explained about what is goodness, what is passion, what is what do you call it, ignorance, because that will define that how we live in this will define our next life. And that is what we are going to carry with us, right? So the foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit this body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of modes of nature. But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all these, right? Then there's a shlok in 8th chapter, 5th shlok. There's one more thing that defines how our next life will be, and that is why it is very, very important to practice spiritual knowledge. Why? Krishna says, Antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram yah prayati samadbhavam yati nasyatra sanchaya. Antakale means at the time of death. Antakale cha mam eva. So at the time of death, those who, mam means mera, mine, eva means he, those who smaran means remembrance, muktva means leave. So those who kalevaram means body. So at the time of death, those who leave their body, smaran muktva means leaving. How? By thinking about me only. Yah prayati samadbhavam yati nastatya sanchaya. They will definitely come to me. They will definitely come to me. Now, because of this, because this is a statement. Now, when leaving our body, whatever we are thinking, accordingly that is also a very important factor. Accordingly, our will also become. That is again one of the factors. So here, that is why it is important that we chant the name of God. When we are chanting, and that is a practice that we do to ourselves. So when we chant, because minimum Srila Prabhupada has told that we should chant at least 16 rounds per day, 16 rounds of our beads. So when we do 16 rounds, what happens? Even when you're sleeping, in your mind you are thinking about Krishna. So you're chanting Krishna. So your tongue is never free. It is always thinking and chanting of Krishna. So what happens when we die? Because we are practicing so much chanting, probably there's a probability that when we die, we may take his name and quit our body, right? That is why it is very, very important to hear about him. The more you hear lectures, the more you hear about it, the thoughts will accordingly get changed. The thoughts will move from passion, ignorance to goodness to transcendental, right? That is the reason why hearing, chanting, doing prayers, decorating God, lighting the diya, talking, discussing about this, joining satsang, going for satsang wherever you all stay. If you have satsang nearby, please go there. That is the best thing. Association with the right people who are in this, because association defines us. The type of association we will be, accordingly will be our behavior. So all these things help us to plan for our next life, how we are going to be. This life also, it will give advantage because that will control our mind, our thoughts will be good, that will get control. And what will happen? Finally, we'll also have at least that will definitely guarantee a human life. We will not fall down into a dog's life or an insect life or a don't know what life, right? So at least that will guarantee that we will have a human life, and then we will get a chance to continue our journey from wherever we have left, right? It will give us a chance to continue our journey from wherever we have left, because it is only in the human form, not even as a Devi Devta, even in the Swarg. You cannot exit you cannot come out of the birth and love cycle of birth and death from the Swarg also. You have to come back to this Bhu planet, that is the Earth planet. The exit happens only from here, right? So that's why it's very, very important to practice it, right? And Krishna says, yatanto yoginaschainam pashyantyatma anavasthita yatantopya kritatmano nainam pashyanta chetasa. The endeavoring transcendentalist. Who are transcendentalists? Transcendentalists are those who are beyond the modes of material nature. Means they have already gone beyond ignorance, passion, and goodness. They are beyond that. They are above goodness. And how can you be beyond that? When you keep Krishna in the center of your life and work everything around Krishna. That whatever duty you do everything the way you do. Just offer it to Krishna. So what happens? Then our life becomes Krishna-centered. They become transcendentalists, who are situated in self-realization, can see all these clearly. But those whose minds are not developed and who are not situated in self-realization cannot see what is taking place, though they may try. So it means what they have to do, they have to chant more. When we chant more, we purify our mind. When we purify our mind, it becomes capable of understanding our scriptures. It becomes capable of our understanding our scriptures. The more pure we are, the more we can understand better. And then that's how, and then the more better we can understand, the more we like to hear, and the cycle will continue, right? Then the 12th shloka, then it's like the last part today that I'm finishing with this. It is 12th to 15th shlok, which is appreciating Krishna's position as our maintainer. Now Krishna talks about what he's doing for us. And he says, Yad adityagatam tejo jagad bhasyate akhilam yad chandramasi yad chagno tat tejo vidhimamakam. He says, the splendor of the sun, which dissipates the darkness of this whole world, comes from me. The sun comes from me, the splendor of the moon and the splendor of the fire are from me. Imagine life without fire, without sun, without moon. Can anything exist? Nothing. Without sun, there'll be no plants, nothing. Without moon, without fire, we can't cook, right? So basically he says all these things comes from me. And then he says, gam avishya cha bhutani dharyam maojasa pushpani choshadhi sarva somo bhutva rasatmaka. He says, I enter into each planet. All the planets that we say, I enter into each planet, and by my energy that they stay in orbit. I become the moon and thereby supply the juice of life into all vegetables. When we say morning, when you get up, you see fresh vegetables, fresh things are there, right? Flowers, in the night you would have seen a bud. Morning we see flowers. So he says, in the night as moon, I actually give them the rasa, so that you can see the fragrance. I give the fragrance, I give the juice in the vegetable so that we can sustain, right? Then he says, Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva Praninam Deham Ashrita Pranapanum Samayukta Panchamya Annam Chaturvidham. He says, I am for all of us the fire in the digestion. We can digest the food because of the Agni that we have in our stomach. We have the fire of digestion in our stomach, because of which we are able to digest food. And he says, this is what I am. I am the fire of digestion in the bodies of all living entity. And I join. When we do yoga meditation, we say, prana, there are different types of airs, prana and apana. Prana is we breathe out and apana is we breathe in. And he says, I join with the air of life, outgoing and incoming, to digest the 4 kinds of food step. Because of those airs, you are able to digest the food. And then this is a very important shlok, which says, this is a very important shlok. Krishna says, Sarvasya chaham hidi sanna vishto matah smritir gyan apohanam cha vedaishta sarver aham eva vedyo vedant krit ved vidam achaham. So he says, Sarvasya cha aham, of all the living entity. Aham means I. Hidi means I stay in their hearts. Sanna Vishnu as super soul. So I am the one who is staying in everyone's heart as super soul. Matta, from me. Smriti means remembrance. Gyan means knowledge. Apohanam means forgetfulness comes. So from me, I give to all of us the remembrance, forgetfulness, and the knowledge comes from him. And then he says, Vedaishya Sarve, of all the Vedas. Someone says, I am the knower of the Vedas. Vedaishya Sarve, Aham Eva Vedyo. Someone says, I know the Vedas. What is the summary of the Vedas? To know Krishna. He says, Vedaishya Sarve, from all the Vedas, Aham, I have to be known. Vedya means to be known. I am supposed to be known. That is the summary of the Vedas. And what is Vedant? Vedant is supposed to be the summary of Veda. He says, Krit, I am the writer of Vedanta, Ved Vidjaham. So he says, I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas, right? So this is what I wanted to share with all of you. And so with this, I'll end today's class. So what I have done today is, I have explained to you about emotions, talked about mental emotions and emotions, spiritual emotions, explained how emotions, explained to you about this material world. It is nothing but an illusion of the spiritual tree, which is there in the spiritual world. This is the material world. How exactly how this is the basically the Maya Jal in which we all are, and how we can actually come out of it. Yeah, with detachment and surrender. If we cut that, then we can actually come out of it. And this is the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, which is a very, very important chapter. So this is what I wanted you to know, the knowledge. And then next on 6th, I'll take the class on 6th of December. 7th, I'm traveling, so I won't be. I think I'll request Abhijit Prabhu to exchange with me. So 6th, I'll take the class. 7th, probably he'll take the class. So that's it. So any questions till now? Whatever I've explained, any clarification questions?
This session was quite heavy session.
Yes,
About
yes,
the
it is.
understanding the things. It's a very heavy session.
I know it is heavy,
I have
and
to-
I thought it's important to explain this chapter, because not that
Yeah, that is it.
so that you know what exactly Gita talks about. I have really made it very short and just explained the basics. But yes, I know it's extremely heavy. It's a very, very deep chapter.
Very deep chapter, because it's talking about the life and change of the life and all karmas, all related all together.
Yes, yes, yes.
That's
That's
it.
right. That's right. So did you follow or no? No, it was like little event. Huh?
60-70%, 60-70%,
70%.
because sometimes it slips out of the mind what I was saying.
Okay, okay. In NIT
70-30.
Kurukshetra, we used to call it OHT, overhead target. I don't know whether still that word is
Yeah.
used or not. It's still used.
So now
So,
I target it to me.
so it was yeah, OHT ho gaya, समझ में नहीं आया class. Huh? So
Yeah. So it's OST today for me.
it was OHT for
So
you.
otherwise it was for you people. When we used to speak, it was for you people. Now it's reverse.
So I try. I mean, you can ask me questions, anything that you want, or otherwise, I mean, you just
Yeah.
know that what it is at a high level. I mean, this chapter is not as part of the syllabus. I just wanted you all to know
Mhm.
the concepts, so that it becomes, you can relate to it when we teach more on emotions, and why I say,
Yeah.
okay, do this, then you know what Krishna
It's
says.
a more of relational topic. It was more of
Relational
relational
topic.
chapter, but I
Yeah,
understand.
relational.
Yeah.
To make the concept more clear about what I'll be teaching in the next class. So there's an
Right.
announcement.
Right.
We have semester exam will be on 20th and 21st of December. Yeah, so that
Mhm.
is the day. 20th December, we'll have fundamental concepts of Bhagavad Gita that Abhijit Prabhu takes. 21st December, self-management with Bhagavad Gita. Whatever I'll be finishing in next class, yeah, I will take from there. Whatever I taught about 15th chapter today, I think it is more of a concept. Apart from the first one, spiritual tree, there's not much I'm going to ask from there. So just know about the relation between the spiritual tree and the material tree, the tree of illusion, the first, second, third flow. That's enough. Just know that concept, that this is what it is. Yeah. And whatever I'll finish in the next class, my syllabus will be only till there. Yeah. We'll continue in the,
Okay.
we have a lot of time. I mean, I started late, so we have a lot of time in the next session. So all those things I'll continue. I'll complete this whole thing also, but I'll continue it in the next class onwards. But exam semester will be only till whatever I've taught on 7th December. 14th December, I'll do a revision. So my request to you will be, and in the next class, I will tell you about the shlokas which will get covered for the semester exam. So try to, especially, the mind management, please try to memorize it. Read it also. You have Bhagavad Gita as it is with you, right? Yeah. So that 6.5, 6.6, mind control, right? The mind is the best of friend and the mind is the enemy. That, try to memorize it. That helps. Then 33, 34, 35, which is Chanchalam Himana Krishna's what, and Arjun asks, and then Krishna says Abhyas, by practice. So those 4 shlokas are very important. Read that, and just look at whatever I've written in 6th chapter. 6th chapter shlokas, what I've told. Go ahead and try to read that. What we will do is, 7th December, I'll give you the list of shlokas that you should prepare well, because that's what we'll be covering. And better if you can memorize the few shlokas. I will write down which, like 2.47, Karmaniya Vadika Raste. Yeah. So that is a very, very important shlok, Karmaniya Vadika Raste Ma Phaleshu Kadachana. So that shlok is something that you must memorize Then yeah, so where we are using it again and again. Like I always keep on talking about this stroke. Mama Ivansho Jeeva Loke Jeev Buddha Sanatana means everyone is an Ansh of Krishna, which is 15.7. Yeah. So you can put 15.7, 2.47, 15.7, then 6.5 and 6, and I think 6.30, 34, 35 is the one. I think just check Chanchalam Himana Krishna and Abhyas, and that one the Krishna replies to him. So that this is 6-7 sloks, you memorize it. Start memorizing from now, because when we memorize Sanskrit slok, it actually sharpens our memory. So Sanskrit is a language. Everyone should teach their children right from childhood, because it actually sharpens the mind. It sharpens the mind, whoever reads it. Try to read, actually, even it's especially Bhagavad Gita, as it is, everything is broken and given, so it is very easy to read. Try to learn and try to teach your people, whoever is in your family, because that sharpens the mind, sharpens the memory, and it helps us to speak properly. And remember, these are the words spoken by Krishna. So when you use this words, speak these words, you are creating a environment, transcendental environment in your home. Yeah. And anyone who listens when you're speaking loudly, they also get benefit out of it, whether they are reading it or not. So chant loudly. Yeah. So this 5-6 sloks you memorize, and 14 December I'll do revision. So you can ask me any question. Whatever my slides are, questions will be from there only. Normally it will be mainly from there. So go through all my slides, and those purport, you read those things, right? And the exams are going to be 1 hour 30 minutes. It will be objective plus subjective. The weightage is attendance is 20 marks, quiz is 30 marks, and subjective is 50 marks. This is how the distribution will be. Yeah.
Okay, Sushmita, the question that what type of the questions will be there, because it's not clear what type of the exam questions will be there. How will be the MCQ? So
MCQs
that's
will
little
be
bit.
something from my side. Maybe Abhijit, you can ask Abhijit sir how he's going to give. Normally, I will give, I always do a summary recap. So my recaps,
Okay.
normally it will be from recaps, because recap I tell, it will be like, one liner, which you all, what it is,
Yeah.
what is not, what are the 5 steps to manage. So you should know that, right? Like,
Okay.
and when you talk about questions,
That
most
okay.
of the questions will be like, when you look at mind management, we talked about how do you manage mind. There's a, I've given the tools and this thing. Maybe one tool describe in detail, right?
Okay. Sure.
Then something like that.
Okay.
Time manage, what are the 5 steps of something like that. It will be not tough. Whatever is being taught, just go through that. It's more than enough. Yeah.
Okay. Just like us, that we used to say that whatever we have taught, go to that. That's so
Yeah.
Sushmita is saying
This is
today
my
to us.
fourth. This is my fourth lecture. I'll give one more lecture, 5 lectures. So look at my slides. It is
Okay.
already uploaded in the thing. You go through the slides. Normally the MCQs will be
Mhm.
from recap, whatever recap I'm giving. There'll be around 15 MCQs. That will be from there. So
Mhm.
it is one liner, true, false, something like that will be there, and or options will be there. You have to pick it up, and questions will be. I've hardly covered 5. I mean 5. So basically maybe 2 from mind management, 3 from mind management, 1 from time management, and 1 from here. I think that's how I'll put. Yeah, I'll be more clear next week, so I can tell on that how it'll be. But it won't be tough. Just go through whatever has been taught. That's enough. Hmm? Okay.
Okay.
Any questions?
Got it. Okay.
Hmm? So let's chant Hare Krishna and 3 times, and then we close the class. Huh? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama
Ram
Rama,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare Rama
Rama,
Hare Rama
Rama,
Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna
Hare
Hare Hare Hare
Hare
Rama
Rama,
Hare
Rama,
Rama
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 Rama.
Rama Hare Hare